It's very easy to design from an ivory tower and to develop from an ivory tower. I imagine someone who's deaf will embrace this feature. But if you never ask someone who's deaf, if you never actually have them try it, you're sort of not really designing to the audience themselves, because they might go, actually, what you're doing here might superficially address my needs, but actually doesn't, I never play like this, and so I would never benefit from this feature.
We have someone here named Vicky that is very passionate about making our product and games in general more accessible. She's had the opportunity to work with Microsoft in order to bring people in and work with them.
As soon as I heard that this was a thing that we could do, I jumped on it. It just felt like the next step in our evolution as game developers.
People with disabilities do have a voice that have to be at the table from the beginning, and that's why you're all here today, is to include that. But the other responsibility...
We run through a series of exercises about accessibility and inclusivity and how that impacts game design. And then we bring in some outside people as consultants, and we encourage them to discuss their accessibility and disability issues with us.
If I want to aim, I have it set up to where I just say aim, and it presses right click, so then it toggles to aim.
That's something we would benefit from, but we cannot afford. And a lot of deaf people are on government assistance, and they don't have the money to get things like that.
If I want to go around a corner, I have to do this with my thumb.
I have young onset Parkinson's disease, which provides a lot of motor challenges that other gamers don't usually have to deal with.
A lot of people online rely on mics to coordinate things in multiplayer games, and I can't really use a microphone with them. So that's a little bit awkward sometimes, and there's a little bit of a disconnect between me and other people.
Being able to save their usable vision for playing the game and then having something like text-to-speech really offset that and have it so they don't have to read as much text. So like if
I really needed to sit down with people who had lived these experiences so that I could find out from them, sure, I can make subtitles bigger, but that doesn't really get at all of the details of what it's like to be struggling to read subtitles while a million things are going on at a time.
Give the player a simple option somewhere that basically prevents most of the complicated camera behaviors we have.
The ability to have a slider that lets you highlight that even more if you need a bigger stroke around it.
Being on a team with your collaborators, coming up with ideas and refining ideas and throwing things out and being so open, there's no no's, it's only maybes and what ifs.
It still feels like the core of how our game works.
Okay.
And it's creating interesting opportunities.
It's well, if it stands out, that's actually good because it's got a higher contrast.
For the sake of accessibility, people can still make those changes to those basic controls.
I think people got to feel proud of the ways in which they could contribute and solve a problem that a real human that they got to meet has experienced.
One of the priorities that came out of our discussions later on, we were we really want to have good subtitles and captioning. I was actually able to go back to my desk and type up a rough spec, and we're already developing guidelines for our subtitles.
What this inclusive design sprint is helping us do is try to change our culture as a studio so that the next time we start a brand new game, we can start at the ground floor with all of these accessibility issues in mind.
We were able to go back and assess what was wrong with 2 and where we made mistakes or dropped the ball or just weren't aggressive enough. It gives us the option to learn from that and just do much better on the next project.
Everyone has a right to experience games, just like everyone has the right to experience the movies, or fly in an airplane, or brush their teeth. A lot of people don't see the disabled community in the same light as they do, unfortunately, and so video games is just that same kind of industry that we're trying to break into.
Finding ways to make sure that we can celebrate the value of our players and just say you can be a gamer and you can bring this to the community of gamers, then you should, and we should enable it.
It feels like it's an upward, trajectory. There's been so many changes just through this process. To see so many people at the company really engaged and excited about it has been really valuable, and it makes me happy.
I see in the future this ripple effect happening. If we can just have a few people kind of set the standard for the rest of the industry, I think everybody's just going to kind of follow suit. It's going to become a trend, and it's a really good trend.